Welcome to the TCM Teach podcast, the business podcast designed exclusively for acupuncturists and Chinese medicine herbalists who are ready to build thriving, sustainable businesses. I'm Sabey Smith, a licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, professor, coach, entrepreneur, and I've spent years helping practitioners like you master clinical skills, but also grow practices that support your life and your patients. So today we're diving into a concept that many practitioners might shy away from, but once you understand it, it becomes a powerful tool for decision making. ROI. You've heard me talk about that a lot in previous episodes. ROI means return on investment. This isn't about being cold or overly financial. It's about making sure the time, money, and energy you put into your practice actually comes back to you in a meaningful way. So let's get started right after this little disclaimer. Please remember, I am simply a practitioner here to help you on your journey. The information shared in this podcast is intended for educational and learning purposes only, and it should not be taken as professional, legal, or financial advice. For specific guidance regarding your business, consult with the appropriate licensed professional. Thank you. So why ROI matters in a healing business? Well, it matters in any business. The bottom line is you can't grow if you don't know what's working. ROI ensures that you're not just busy, but effective. So in the past, you've heard me talk about being busy is not always being productive. So we want to make sure that we are staying busy and productive, making sure that the systems we put in place are effective, getting a good return on our investment. ROI matters because it helps you make confident choices with money, marketing, and your time. So let's dive into some of the key points I have for today. So what is it? Return on investment. ROI is return on investment. It's the value you get back from what you put in. It's not just money. It's time, energy, intellectual property, whatever it may be. That is something you're investing into your business, into your patients. It can be measured in money. It can be measured in time saved. It can be measured in patient results or opportunities that might be created. There are some blind spots, though, in TCM practices. So let me help with explaining what those are. Spending money on ads or marketing can be great. But if you have no way to track the results, it actually could be a money pit. You want to be able to quantifiably see if the ads you're creating, for example, on Google, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, if you're doing online ads or if you're doing mailer ads, whatever, make sure you can track those results. Ask your patients how they heard of you or how they came to find your office or your product or whatever it may be. Over-investing in continuing education. Oh, this one gets me. I understand. As a clinician, as a business owner, you always want to be learning something. I spend plenty on education, don't get me wrong. However, and I've talked about this before, I have students who are not even out of school yet talking about getting their next doctorate, talking about getting their next year-long certification before they've even been in the field. I understand wanting to hit it hard and grind and get it while you're young and whatever, but that is a potential money pit if you're over investing in continuing education outside of like for your license. So there's two different ways actually. So you can over invest in like getting too many degrees or something. If it's your hobby, cool, but like spend your fun money on that. If it's out of insecurity, you really need to think about that. Okay, so that's one. I have students who want to get I'm not going to say way too many degrees, want to get degrees before they even get started. And then they have a lot of times end up developing a lot of student debt as a result. There's also the potential where you're paying too much for continuing education once you're licensed. If you need to stay lean for a little while, find continuing education that is lean. When you want to create an experience for yourself, or maybe double it with a vacation or something, then you can go for that more premium price for continuing education. But that is something where sometimes the return on investment at the end of the day doesn't always make sense. Like if you want to go to this long course or something and you only need X amount of credits for the year for your license, that's one thing. If you're investing in, saying, renewing your NCCAOM, which is like 4 years and you need 60 credits, and you have an event that's going to cover all that and it's expensive, whatever expensive is to you, of course, maybe that would be more worth it. But at the end of the day, just be mindful of where your money's going from your business. And we'll talk about strategies with that too in the future. There's ways to work with this. Ideally, so understanding time spent on admin work instead of patient care strategy is another money pit. If you're spending all your time doing admin work when you could have maybe a secretary or a virtual assistant or someone, make sure that you can get a solid return on investment, because doing too much admin work without making money from it actually just takes from the price you're getting from patient care. And I see this a lot with insurance billing. It always seems like there's more money to be made when insurance billing can be delegated, truthfully. I've also seen, for example, like husband and wife teams. I had a couple friends down in Arizona who were a husband and wife team. The husband did the accounting, the wife ran the clinic. They had a nice system, so that was cool. So they ended up making more as a result that way. But if you're kind of a one-person show, delegating can be really helpful. I've seen really great ways that insurance billing has been delegated, and that way you don't have to deal with the headache as a result. So what is the consequence of all this? If you are spending too much and not tracking results on things like ads, if you're over-investing in continuing education with no ways to actually apply it, and you're having too much time on admin work without patient care or strategizing, then you're having wasted resources. Wasted resources really can make your business suffer. You don't want to waste resources. That's not good business. Slow growth. Slow growth is not bad, but if it can be faster to support you more, you want that. You want to strive for that. And burnout. If you're doing double the work for half the pay, that makes no sense. If you can delegate it, sacrifice a little in the beginning for a much longer term return on investment, ROI, that makes a lot more sense. Put on your CEO hat to figure that out. What are elements of return on investment in a healing practice? We have financial ROI, time ROI, patient ROI, and personal ROI. Financial ROI is revenue generated from an expense or an investment. You're putting money in to get money out. So this could look like if you want to implement some cool lasers or an infrared sauna or a cold plunge or I know that's so not TCM, but like here we are in the world. You can invest in technology. You can invest in something for your business with hopes it'll create more revenue. Time ROI. Time ROI would be the hours saved by using systems, tools, or staff. Your staff should be making you more money. That's the point of having a staff, is to help more people and to make the business more money, because if you can't do it all yourself, which eventually if you're growing, you're not going to be able to do it all yourself, you're going to focus on time ROI, hours saved by using systems, tools, or staff. So even your EHR system, if it's a good, efficient EHR system, can give you time ROI because you can save time working on patients rather than just charting by hand. And trust me, I was someone who was so resistant back in the day to EHR, and then I saw when I had a treatment I had to repeat and I could just copy and paste a previous chart. Oh my goodness, that gave me so much more time to work on the patient, and I just had to make small tweaks. That was super, super helpful. It gave me more time to be intent, talking to the patient, gave me more time to create better rapport rather than taking away. And then staff. Staff does not have to be in-house. It can be delegated outside of the physical building. If you are a product-based business, you can have a virtual assistant, someone to help you with the admin so you can focus on the strategy and the business growth and working on patients, for example, and development. And then we have patient ROI, patient return on investment, better outcomes leading to higher retention and referrals. The better experience that we can create for someone, the more positively they're going to talk about the clinic, the product, the service, whatever it may be. And I know I say whatever it may be a lot, but I'm trying to not only speak to clinic specific. Yes, most of this has to do with clinic, but you could be an herb-based company. You could even have a coaching company like me. You could have all of the above. I'm trying to include everybody when I say that. So patient ROI, better outcomes leading to higher retention and referrals. And then we have personal ROI. Energy, freedom, and sustainability can be gained. So can you get a return on investment with your energy? Do you ultimately get more freedom? And is this more sustainable for you long term? Don't become the statistic of the practitioner that burns out. Please, let's work together and find a way so you can have freedom and sustainability through your business. Don't burn out. Get help before you burn out, please. I'm very passionate about that. Okay, so what's the shift that needs to happen here? We have to go from saying spending money feels scary to investments are tools for growth. Here's a way to make it feel less scary. If you want to invest in some technology, say it's $20,000. $20,000 to you might feel scary, and that's okay, but let's talk about it. Say you want to get a $20,000 machine because it's going to do something that you can't do already, or it's going to save you time. Map out the cost of the payment plan per month, and then map out what your return is going to be within a month with that machine. So how fast can it be paid off, and how much more will you make even while you're paying it off? So for example, if you had something that costs $450 a month, but as soon as you get the machine, you can start bringing in $800 a month. By doing a payment plan, you can already be making that $800 a month, making the $450 payment, and you still have money left over every single month. So yes, spending money can feel scary, but it's scary if you don't have a plan. If you have a plan and you can write it out and it all makes sense, that is a tool for growth. Shift from I need to do everything myself to save money to my time is valuable and freeing it up creates return on investment. Your job is to lead, to innovate. Yes, to practice, be the lead practitioner. You need to rest. If you do not rest, you will burn out, and then all of this goes away because you start to resent your business. Don't let that happen. You don't have to do everything yourself. Delegate responsibility. Shift from I'll try everything and hope it works to I measure and double down on what's effective. So this actually goes back to my first example. You want to invest in a $20,000 technology or whatever. And if you can find a way where you can make more money off of it and it makes sense and you did all the math and the math is mathing, right? I know, not real words. You can effectively understand that you are going to get a return. It's not hoping it works. If you're going to do something in hopes it works, make sure it's sustainable. I hope that you have something quantifiable where you know if it's working or it's not very quickly. So what are some strategies that we can use here? How do we understand and improve ROI? We want to track our marketing ROI. New patients per campaign, how many? How much does the lead cost us? Okay, so you put in $500 on ads this month, and you got 5 patients as a result, 5 new patients, okay? So if we spent $500 and we got 5 new patients, it cost us $100 per patient that month, okay? So here's where it's okay. I know that sounds scary, but here's where that could be okay. If each of those 5 patients bought a 10-session package, say that 10-session package was, for the sake of ease of math, $1,000. 10-session package, $1,000, that's $100 a treatment. And you just sold 5 of those. So you put in $500 for ads. You got 5 patients to come in as a result from those ads. So that cost you ultimately $100 per patient. Okay. Each patient invested $1,000 as a result. So at the end of the day, you have a very positive return on investment. You put in $500 and you ended up making $5,000. So $5,000 minus 500 is $4,500. So you are net positive $4,500. That is a little oversimplifying because, of course, you have to work for these packages and whatnot. But the point is you made money. You didn't lose money. So track your time ROI. Identify tasks that could be automated or delegated. I cannot stress this enough. If something can be automated or delegated, just given to somebody else, do it. Focus on building the business. Focus on your practice. Make that your job. Practice on people. Go for it. Make the healing work happen. Don't let all the other stuff muddy up your goals, your mission, and your vision. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Or automate if you can. Evaluate continuing education. Really think about it. Will this course increase my skills, my income, or my patient outcomes? If it is a significant business expense, you really have to think about this. If it's not a significant expense, it's not a big risk. There's even plenty of herb companies that offer free CEUs to their customers every year. That's a thing. The key here is if you're really going to invest in something like CEUs, which we all have to do, we know this. If it's a significant expense for your business, how is it going to be a return on investment? As a business owner, if you can double it as a vacation, that might be a little different. Maybe that's something you could talk to your accountant about, but there's ways to make a business trip a vacation at the same time where you can't cross personal and business expenses, but there are tax advantages that you can leverage as a result of doing things like that. So maybe there's a way to meet in the middle, and we'll talk about that in the future. You want to consider your long-term return on investment. Some investments pay off over years and not days or weeks. Sometimes it takes a couple years for something to start paying back. If you're stable enough where you can do that and establish that in your business and put yourself in a good spot, think long-term. Don't think just short-term. On the flip side, make sure you can sustain in the short term while you're building the long-term mission and vision and business. Just make sure that you're going to get a solid return over time. So what are some practical exercises we could do here? Write down your last 3 big expenses. Did each bring financial, time, patient, or personal ROI? So in your business, write down your last 3 big expenses and what type of return on investment did they bring, positive or negative. You can create a simple ROI tracker so you can write down the investment, the cost, the return, so it could be money, time, patience, energy. Some of you may only want to focus on money, but please understand, time and energy can be more important long term. Make sure it's balanced. And last, is this worth repeating now that I can see the numbers? Is this worth repeating, yes or no? So ask yourself, before any new expense, what return do I expect and how will I measure it? If you can't expect it, you're just hoping. And if you can't measure it, it might not be a good investment. Watch your expenses. Be responsible. Be a CEO. Act like a business person. So how do we put this into practice? Before your next big decision, pause. What return on investment am I aiming for? Money, time, energy, more patience, more product sales. Figure out what that is. Start small. Measure one marketing effort or system upgrade. Find a way to measure it. If you can't measure it, why? Find a way to measure it. Otherwise, you're just throwing money out the window. Use return on investment data to make confident, repeatable decisions. This is why business does not have to be a mystery like so many make it seem like. It doesn't have to be a mystery. Once you find a system that's working, keep doing it. Keep repeating it. Make the system work for you. Don't work for the system. Make the system work for you. There's so many practitioners that throw money out the window at some new technology that they can't afford. They refinance a car or whatever, take out a new mortgage on their house to get some technology in hopes that it's going to drive new patients, or they just want to make the patient experience better. Yes, I understand. That's important. That's compassionate care. As a business, do you need it to drive more revenue? Is it actually going to drive more revenue? Really think about that before you make these big expenses. So I want to leave you with this. ROI isn't about being overly business-minded. It's just about honoring your time, money, and energy so you can create a practice that's sustainable and deeply impactful. I created a resource called the Healing Business ROI Tracker, and that's going to help you measure and reflect on where your investments are paying off in your practice. So check it out in the membership. And in our next episode, we'll be diving into building confidence in business the TCM way. So until then, thanks for tuning in to the TCM Teach podcast, and we'll see you next time. See ya.